Too many people focus on the latest and greatest marketing tactics and overlook those things that are tried and true. Successful marketing is all about attracting, engaging, and creating genuine connection with those you can help. Our special guest today has some sage advice and tips to share with us about creating genuine connection. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe you've got to remove your revenue roadblocks to accelerate growth, and marketing shouldn't be difficult. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I'm super excited to have April Brumm from Mail Some Joy with me today. April, welcome and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Tim. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to connect with you. We've chatted at least a couple times, I think. Before we dig into the heart of this conversation, I want to ask you some rapid fire questions to help us get to know you. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. When you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
Oh, I love to spend time with family. I mean, that really it feeds my soul. I've been given the gift of time right now in this season of my life. My kids are off at college and I've been given time to go visit my parents whenever I want. And I love spending time with my family.
What's your hidden talent?
My hidden talent, my family would probably say, and my friends would probably say that I can put anybody in a better mood than they were when they got here. So I like to think that people are better having been around me than they were before. That's something that I feel like the Lord wants me to do. So
I would say your energy is contagious. So I believe that. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Whew. Well, in high school, as I was headed to college, my mama said nothing good happens after midnight, and I've tested that theory a couple of times, and she's right. But a really good sage piece of advice would be to be obedient and act on those promptings that you get. There's always that little voice in your head that's telling you something to do or not do. Listening to it is really key.
Yeah, it's when we don't listen to it that things
Right?
go awry, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a whole ball of wax that happens after that.
Yeah, it's like the devil on your shoulder. What's the one thing about you that surprises people?
People are surprised that because everybody meets me quickly, assumes that I'm a people person and that I, must be surrounded by people. But I value alone time just as much as I do anything else, and I'm totally fine alone. I've eaten in restaurants, gone to movies. I'm just as comfortable with me, myself, and I as I am in a crowd.
I listen to I meditate 5 days a week, and one of the meditations a couple weeks ago, he was talking about the difference between loneliness and solitude. And loneliness is that feeling that so many of us don't want, but you can be alone and have solitude and have peace, right? So,
For sure.
and that's kind of what I'm getting from what you're saying. It's okay to be alone if you can find solitude.
Yeah, for sure. A lady I talked to last week, she said, you should start a podcast and the title of it should be Lonely in a Crowd. And I was like, huh. She said, because that would resonate with so many people do feel lonely when they're surrounded by people, because you're right. Lonely is a state of being that not a lot of people are okay with.
Yeah. What does success mean to you?
At the end of a day, I call that day a win if I know for sure I have been obedient to something God told me to do that was uncomfortable. He always has an assignment for us. And too many times we are too busy to stop and do it. And that really is the only thing that matters that day.
Where's your happy place?
Oh, goodness. My happy place, truly, currently, it's on my back porch. I have a 30 by 12 screened in back porch that feels like a living room. And I'm so happy when my boys are home from college and we're eating dinner together and just enjoying a really nice breezy evening. So I guess
Yeah,
there's that again.
you kind of have to have a screened-in porch in Georgia, don't you?
Oh, for sure. The mosquitoes will tote you off.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. What qualities do you value in the people you spend time with?
Authenticity. I want somebody to be comfortable enough with me to be themselves, um, and be comfortable enough to know that it's okay if they have a bad day around me. I don't want somebody to have to be somebody to be in my presence, and know that I accept them wherever they're at that day.
So, April, tell us more about what you're doing with Mail Some Joy.
So Mail Some Joy sort of happened. The name came to me. Um, well, nothing's by chance. I don't believe in chance, but I truly, matter of fact, I'm this week, 2 weekends from now, I'm speaking at a ladies' conference, and she said when the subject came up and we needed a speaker to speak on joy, you're the first person we thought of to speak on joy, because joy is internal. Happiness comes to you when, just like the word sort of starts, when things happen well, you feel happy. Happiness depends on outside circumstances. Joy comes from within. And joy is something that you are and something that is in you. So, mail some joy. Everyone needs that. And I tell people all the time, if you're standing in the line at Kroger, the grocery store, if you're just, I'll sit at a red light and catch somebody's eye and grin at them, because joy needs to be something that we share. So my app that I use to send cards and gifts is something that I can grand scale mailing joy. So
Yeah,
mail some joy, I would say it. And then I thought, that would be a great name for a company.
and there it is.
So it makes me happy and it makes other people smile. It's not something I have to explain. Mail
Yeah,
some joy. Oh, okay. You know,
I love it. So I know, your business was born from, your desire to create just genuine connections with people. Um, tell us more about how that got started, and what genuine connection means to you. I think means different things to different people, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
it does. So genuine connection is not how many followers you have on social media. Genuine connection is someone's day better because you did or said something for them, to them that day. That human connection will grow any business because it grows relationships. So Mail Some Joy was born purely because I use my app that I use, that we'll talk about in a minute, but the app allows you to mail cards and gifts very quickly and easily. I can mail a card start to finish in about 48 seconds. So when you can mail someone a card, I sent a card to a realtor friend of mine years and years ago, congratulating her on the house that she sold up my street for way more than it was worth. And so I said, "Way to go, fancy pants!" And
Yeah,
had a picture of the house, and I also included a box of brownies from our gift store. She got it in the mail, and she called me up and she was like, "How did you do that?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "How did you do that? That is genius, and I got to do this." And so she says, "I'm on your street. I'm coming over." I said, "Okay." So she came over and I showed her how to use my app. Now, at the time, I had been a pure customer of the company sending cards and gifts. Super happy. I'm a stay at home mom. I'm a pilot wife. I just wanted to mail cards and gifts.
yeah,
So, never entertained the idea of sharing this or activating their affiliate program. Didn't even know what that was.
yeah,
When she said that, there's a little share button in the app. So, I shared the app with her. And that exact scenario happened about a month later with my financial planner, comes to my house and sits with me and my husband once a year and kind of rebalances everything. That's gotten real interesting lately.
yeah.
And he said, "You have never forgotten my birthday, and I got to be that guy." Can you show me how to do this? I said, sure. So those two conversations made me go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I began to earn small commissions every time they mailed a card or a gift, which offset the cost I was paying for cards and gifts. And I told my husband, I said, I wonder what would happen if I did this on purpose.
Right.
And it sort of started to grow over time. I didn't go call all my friends. I just sort of showed up at some local event. Business people were showing up because I made sure that I was sending cards that I wanted to get. That is what I teach people now. Send the card that you'd like to get. Nobody wants to get a card from a tire store that says, Happy Mother's Day, here's 10% off.
Right.
That is not loving. That is marketing. I've found that when you love people well, they want to reciprocate. So that's how my little company was born, is that now I teach people how to love better, really.
Yeah.
And when they do that, their business grows.
So, genuine connection, I wrote this down, is when someone's day is better because of what you've done. That's how you're connecting, which that threshold to me is when you're sending, whether it's cards or anything else, frankly.
Anything. Could be a kind word, a text, a phone call.
Yeah.
Reaching out in kindness. Yes.
Send messages that you would want to get yourself. Like
Right.
That's the threshold. That is such a simple threshold. And we can all use that to kind of measure, like, am I creating genuine connection by sending this out?
Right.
And not to say that marketing messages out there are a bad thing. They're not at all.
Right. There's a place and time for all of that.
Right. But sprinkling in these opportunities to create genuine connection with all the other things that you're doing is just going to build those relationships up and make them even stronger.
Sure. Because the laws of sowing and reaping don't care about source. So when COVID happened, I have all of my people inside of my send out cards database. They're all coded. You're in the fathers category.
Okay.
There's people who are teachers, veterans, mothers, fathers, dog moms. I have everybody categorized because it helps me love better. So when 2020 happened, I was able to log into my account, choose a card that basically was like, we're going to get through this and I'm standing behind you, and just encouragement.
Yeah.
I put a box of brownies with it and I clicked go on my teacher group. Hundreds of teachers in my database got a card with brownies. I spent 10 minutes total, and it was less than a couple $100, which is what half of us go in Walmart and drop once a month, right? On crap, right? So I was able to do that and love on that group of people with one click. And it created this connection that just still has ripple effects.
Yeah, they all remember that.
They'll never forget it because nobody else was looking out for the teachers back then, and none of them signed up for that.
Right. Yeah. So you started to lead into this because you have some really interesting thoughts about how you can use cards to connect and build those relationships. You just gave us a fantastic example of it. And you started to kind of walk us through, like, you're paying attention to the little things in conversations as you connect with people that so many of us just don't pay attention to because we're too focused on the business side of it, rather than just getting to know that person. Like I had somebody, so you're paying attention to those things, you're writing them down. And if it's something that you would like to use as an opportunity to connect, you're just taking note of that, and you're tagging them with various tags to just remind you, hey, he's a father, or he loves dogs, or whatever it might be.
Right.
Is there anything that I'm missing there?
So when you when you're having a conversation with somebody, most of the human population is waiting for them to take a breath so you can say what you want to say.
Right.
If you get good at listening and remembering, and the value of that is taking lots of notes right after the conversation happens. And I have another app that I use that's in my link tree. Your listeners will get to see that later.
Yeah.
But there's another app that basically helps me remember, and it's a rapid fire sort of bullet point kind of thing. So that when for instance, in January, I went out to Salt Lake City to the Send Out Cards factory for a meeting. And I was able to go into that little app that I use for remembering. And I was able to type in Salt Lake City, and everybody that's in my database in Salt Lake City popped up so that I could connect with them while I was there, because I've coded them that way.
Right.
And so that is correct. And I think if I could, this is the book that is written by our founder. It's actually called The Power of Human Connection. And this first paragraph in chapter 17 says, we've discussed the powerful concept throughout this book that says what you appreciate appreciates. It simply means things you share, gratitude and appreciation will grow. Appreciate your relationships, they grow stronger. Appreciate your money, it appreciates and grows. Appreciate your life, and life will appreciate you back. It's a fundamental law. So those laws of sowing and reaping are as powerful as gravity. When I did that appreciation to all of those teachers, when 2020 hit, almost the very next week, my husband got a double pay 5-day trip for his job. That was really a rare thing. That's part of those laws of sowing and reaping. Right. You may not reap from the same source you sowed, but God in his infinite wisdom owns everything. So to him, it's all the same, So I just encourage anybody listening, when you get a prompting to do something and reach out in kindness, don't attach any kind of harvest to it, because the harvest will come.
Yeah. Don't give with expectation.
Never.
As we're talking through this, I'm also thinking about, in business conversations, it's important for us to take time to not talk about business, right? And get to know that person. I was telling you before we went on air about a conversation I had yesterday. And honestly, I went to a place where we started talking about baseball because he brought it up. And so we started talking about baseball, and I found out all these things that he's done with baseball and how important it is in his life. And, again, that is now something that I understand about him. And since I have that understanding, I can use that to continue to build that relationship and just go like, hey, I'm going to send you a card on opening day. Or I know he's a huge Rockies fan. Like if something happens great with them, I could take that opportunity to just acknowledge that. And that's just going to tell him, damn, he actually listened to what the hell I was talking about.
Right. Exactly.
So it's what we're talking about. This isn't revolutionary. It's fundamental. It's simple. It's simple, but it's not easy.
It should be marketing 101, but it's not.
Yeah. It's, the way I look at it is like easy are things that we can just do, and it doesn't take work. The simple is it's not complex, but you got to pay attention. You got to do the work.
Sure. Consistency really is I'll take anybody any day of the week that'll do 2 or 3 things every day consistently, rather than somebody that'll go on a 1 week all out sprint, and then by Friday they're burnt out and they don't want to do it anymore. Yeah.
Do you have any other stories similar to the one with the teacher that might also hammer this point home? If you don't, it's okay.
So about 2 or 3 months ago, I was talking to a girl that she sort of helps. I have a sort of a right hand, helper that remotely helps me sort of keep my brain together, because there's a lot of monkeys up here and only one banana. So sometimes you got to calm the chaos. But I was talking to her and I said, really only hear from about 20 or 30% of the people sometimes. And I just don't know if all my efforts are worth it, because I mail about 200 to 300 birthday cards a month. I am connected with that many people. And some of them, I create one birthday card and I mail it to a list of people because they are acquaintances and I don't know them that well. And others, I will make a personal birthday card with pictures and all that other stuff with them, right? So I said to her, I wonder if I should scale back and just, not mail so many. Is it overkill? Is it worth it? The next day after I uttered that, a friend of mine who is an acquaintance, I'm not super close to her anymore. She's moved to a different state.
Yeah.
She sent me a text message and said, "Thank you so much for the birthday card you mailed me. It's the only one I got." And I went,
oh my God.
okay, there's my answer.
Right.
This is not costing me more than that was worth. And what if I had scaled back and marked a couple of people off the list? Then you're like, who do I mark off the list? Who's not important enough to get a card in the mail? Because it's so little, such a small thing. But to her, it was the highlight of her day.
Yeah.
And if I were in real estate, I tell people all the time, when I'm talking to the housing industry, I do a lot of workshops for big brokerages and mortgage people and insurance people. And truly teaching them how to love better. And when I tell them, I said, I can say this with all the authority, and it's not bragging. A friend of mine in college used to say, it's not bragging if you can back it up.
Yeah, that's right.
But I could go into the real estate market, the mortgage market, anything that has lots of clients. I could go into that profession tomorrow and be number one in 60 days. Because I love well, not because I've got God on my side, not because, of any kind of favor.
Yeah.
But because I do things differently and I love well. But that's not anything unique to me. Anybody can do this.
Right.
Anyone.
It's the other thing that's coming to mind here is just because you don't hear from people doesn't mean you're not having an impact.
Right. That's what I tell people, because I'll walk into a room full of business people and no less than 3 people will come straight to me and make a beeline for me and say, oh my gosh, that card was the best thing ever.
Right.
But they had not reached out to me and it was 3 months ago. But
so
all of this happens. None of this is me. I cannot take credit for any of this because I'm not special. I'm just loving well.
Yeah.
And anyone can do this. And I hope that's what I want to impart to your listeners too. Anyone can do, you don't have to be an extrovert. You just have to systematically love well.
Systematically, consistently, and you need to commit, right? So just like marketing, right? You've got to do it consistently and you have to commit. Because this is not the kind of thing that you can expect to just do and be like, oh my gosh, this is going to explode my business overnight. That's not how it works.
This is a crock pot. It's not a microwave.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So slow cook it, do it. But if you're going to do it, just commit and just start.
Yes.
And see what happens.
Exactly. So probably when you're talking to clients, if one of your clients goes whole hog for 2 weeks and then comes back to you and says, well, this didn't work. I'm not a millionaire yet.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, dude, you've mailed 5 cards.
Yeah.
Like that's not how this works.
No. And relationships take time to build.
Of course. Yes.
Right?
They take trust.
Yeah.
They always say people do business with people they know, like, and trust, but I would add, and remember.
Right.
Because I don't have it right here on me, but that blue rub that comes from a company that like makes everything smell good. The girl that sold it to me never kept in touch. I don't have a clue who it is. I've got 5,000 people in my database. I'm like, who the heck is this? I had to go find a new person. But I have so many followers on my social media that when I talk about it, other people are going to want it.
Right.
because most of them are over 52 and we all have jacked up shoulders. It seems to
uh,
be a gift you get. You get
yeah.
two gifts when you turn 50. Your body starts falling apart, and mentally and emotionally you just don't care.
Yeah.
People are like, how have you let your hair go gray? And I'm like, it's a gift you get when you turn 50. You don't care what people think anymore.
Man, look, it's hard to see. And you can probably see it. I got plenty of gray hair, and I'm shy. I'm just shy of 50. I've
Yeah,
had gray hair for a while, so I always just thought like, hey, just age gracefully and just let it
that's
go.
right.
It's all
Right.
good.
Nobody cares. Just put a good smile on. Everything else is fine.
That's it. It's all good. Um, so I want to shift gears a little bit. You touched on this about social media. I know, based on our last conversation, you had mentioned that you're starting to generate a lot of business from social media, and I know plenty of people are doing social media and feel like they're just posting and doing their thing and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Can you share some of your thoughts on social media and kind of what you're doing that you believe is making the difference and having an impact?
Oh, sure. So when I first started to uh, try to grow my social media on purpose, so there's accidental growth, organic growth, they call it,
Yeah.
and then really truly trying to grow on purpose. I do the occasional giveaway and things like that to just sort of do different boosts here and there, but the most genuine growth, there are people that I know on social media with hundreds of thousands of followers, and they couldn't sell a t-shirt if they gave it away
Yeah.
because they're not engaged followers. My fan base is, and it sounds stupid to even say fan base, my community, let's call it
Yeah.
that instead. My community is a community of encouragers. Most of them are believers. Most of them value the power of human connection. And I show up with no makeup on. I show up with my mom bun, getting up from, I mean, I show up authentically because that's part of what you can't be curated all the time. If you look at my Instagram feed, it's not like quote, picture, video, quote, picture, video. It's not a pretty pattern. It's life.
Yeah.
And days when I'm just not feeling it, I will get on my stories because stories only last for 24 hours, which is how long a bad mood should last.
Right.
And so I will get on my stories and share that and say, who else is struggling today? And so sometimes my followers, some of them have become friends. I went to Knoxville, Tennessee recently to visit a new friend that I've now gotten to know so well that I went to visit her because we eat the same way. And we've met through that Trim Healthy Mama community. Because since September, I finally decided to kick sugar. And those people are also coming into my sphere of influence now because they understand this is hard to do. It's an addiction just like anything else. And if somebody doesn't think sugar is an addiction, I'll fight you. But when you build genuine community, that is not built by hundreds of thousands of followers. You
Right.
have to be authentic. And here's the other thing that goes against everything anybody else wants to say about marketing. Not everybody is your customer.
Yeah, that's correct. That's
Now,
correct.
I could say, well, yeah. I mean, like, here's some Mother's Day cards that I gathered up, just because I'm going to be talking about Mother's Day cards this afternoon on one of my lives. And it could be said, everybody who's breathing should be my customer. Well, there's people who could care two flits about not sending a card to somebody because they just don't care.
Yeah.
So they're not my customer yet. Maybe they will be someday. But when someone in business says to me, everybody's my customer, I'm like, well, then you're not going to be able to market to anybody. You've got to find, like this month, I'm really helping people get their graduation invitations in the mail because that's something that's happening right now. It's a big frustration for people. And my son's girlfriend is graduating from high school this month. And so she came over the other night and she stood right here. We downloaded a spreadsheet. We picked the pictures that she liked. We put them on a card and we hit go. And she was like, well, now what? I
Yeah.
said, it's done. She goes, what? I said, yeah, it's done. And now all the addresses are in there. So when you send thank you notes, you can just do it from your app. She was like, oh my gosh, all my friends are sitting there in the living room at night addressing cards. And I went, well, they should have called us.
Yeah. Well, and so what I'm hearing you say is you are posting some business stuff, but a lot of your posts are just, about
Yes.
what you're doing and things that your community, your people are going to find valuable,
Right.
right? And so it's understanding who your ideal clients are, what's important to them,
Yep.
and you're creating that type of content to engage.
Right. So when you then if you and this book talks about this too. The Power of Human Connection talks about this principle. 80% relationships, 20% marketing. If you can stick to that threshold, you're going to be shocked at how fast a business will grow because somebody believes that you care. They believe that you're genuinely interested in watching their business grow and you're genuinely interested in them having a better day. When you teach them to do that, then when 20% marketing comes into play, they go, yeah, that does sound like a service I need to use. And they're willing to do that and then share it with their friends.
Right. Yeah. So 80% of it is about building a relationship, helping them
Right.
in some way, shape, or form.
Yes. And the other cool thing is here's the connection for when you get to know them. When you get to know someone, you may not be their ideal customer, but if you meet their ideal customer, introduce that person to this new person that you're forming a relationship with. Now you're building their business and you don't get credit or benefit financially from it at all. So when you create a referral, now you're that person's referral partner.
Yeah.
And you've added value to their life and it had nothing to do with any benefit for you. That is when you really your social equity goes way up in that person's mind and they're like, man, how can I help her?
Yeah.
Because people genuinely want to see others do well.
Yeah.
They just don't really have a place for that in their business because it's marketing. How many times do you scroll your social media? And by the way, now that we're both standing here saying the word marketing 50 times, watch your Facebook feed today.
Yeah.
It's going to be buy this course, high ticket items. For $2,700, you're going to be able to go to this intensive mastermind.
Yeah.
And you can't buy them all.
No, you
At some
can't.
point, you have to go do the things.
Yes. Yeah, you do. You got to get out and take the action, right?
Right. Like you can have all the courses and knowledge, as somebody posted the other day, and it actually ended up being almost a viral post for them because it said, I'm not allowed to buy any more online courses until I finished the ones that I've bought. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, that's so me. Like everybody was like, that's me.
Yeah. The vast majority of people that buy online courses, including myself, don't ever get through it.
Right. And then you don't do the things. It's unbelievable. Right there. Right there is a pile of books that are all about half read because I meant to read them.
You had the best of intentions.
I will. I'll do it.
I have really enjoyed this conversation. I know some people are going to get some value from it. At least, just spark some thoughts of, gosh, can I be doing this a little bit differently than I've thought?
Oh, for sure. And being a good giver, there's takers in the world and there's givers in the world. Being a good giver, that's a skill.
It is.
I actually had the opportunity to meet the owner of Arden's Garden. It's a juicing company. You'll see them in the fresh juice section of any deli. Arden's Garden, her name is Leslie Zinn. She mailed me, after she found out what I did for a living, she mailed me this book. This is genius.
Giftology.
The idea
I've
of
heard
giftology.
of that. Yeah.
This is genius. And our app, the Send Out Cards app, it's almost like it was written for this book because if you get good at gifting, and that goes along with what you were saying earlier, being a good gift giver requires you to know someone well.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to give somebody a a little golfing gift set if they've never heard of golf, or it's not going to do any good.
Or they're going to get it and they're going to be like, why did he send me
what?
that?
Does she even know me?
Yeah.
So being a good gift giver requires you to be a good listener, because that touches someone's heart.
Yeah.
And when you get to someone's heart, that's when you create that. I have these. This is one of our cards that comes out of our not out of our catalog because I made this, but I order these cards in bulk. I get 10 or 12 at a time. It says one for me, one for you. A friend taught me a fun thing a while back. Whenever she saw something fun to buy for herself, she'd buy two. She called it one for me, one for you. So when I saw this, I bought one for me and I bought one for you. Enjoy and know that you are loved. And I put this card in a gift bag whenever I give someone a gift. Because what does this do? This makes them want to go do it.
For somebody else, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's because then it's not give and take, it's give and give.
Yeah.
When you can activate give and give, it never ends. And it's just so fun.
I think you said a few things today that I think were so good. But the one that's really sticking with me is send cards, messages, whatever you're sending that you'd like to get yourself.
Yes.
And the other one that's just coming to mind for me as we talk about this is like, if this is something that you're going to choose to do, you need to give without expectation and just do it and see what happens.
Yes. Our parent company is called Promptings. And because we also have virtual assistant services, we have other things that are in addition to send out cards that help send out cards work better. But the parent company is called Promptings, and it literally is teaching people to act on your promptings and mail some joy. And so when you can master acting, because we all get promptings, don't we? We've all been at a red light and gone, I wonder why I just thought of Tim.
Yeah.
We've all gotten that prompting. But the one step we miss is acting on it. Whether it's a card, a gift, a visit, a phone call, a text. Now we all have Bitmoji, those little Bitmojis that look like us. They're cartoons, My cartoon face looks way better than my own face. And so I will sometimes pull that up, and the one that looks sideways, it goes like this and it says, hi. Sometimes I'll just send that to somebody really quick and say, hey, thought of you today, hi. Almost always they will message me back and say, I was having the worst day today. Yeah. I had no way of knowing that. But the prompting comes on purpose.
Yeah.
It just helps you. I mean, what if there's 300 million people in America, 8 billion people on the planet? What if half of those people mailed one card of encouragement every day to somebody in their life that was hurting? That's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is mind-blowing. Yeah.
It just blows my mind. Most tragedies that you hear, or sometimes almost tragedies, the storyline goes, someone reached out to me and let me know that I mattered.
Yeah.
And a tragedy is either it already happened or it doesn't happen because someone cared.
I think that's an amazing thought to kind of end this conversation on. I have really enjoyed this. I know people are going to get a ton of value from it. If people want to connect with you, which you should, where can they learn more about you, April?
Yeah, so my link tree is April Brumm, and I have actually captured April Brumm on every social media channel, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. If you type in April Brumm, you will find it. And I think the link tree is running below. linktr.ee/April Brumm is pretty simple.
And we'll make sure that gets in the show notes. It's April, like the month, and then Brumm, Brumm.
Yep.
So please reach out, connect with April. I have enjoyed connecting with you now a few times. So thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I was feverishly taking notes. So Thank you for that. Those of you that are watching, listening, I appreciate you as well. We've been, honestly, this is about helping connect with people, create genuine connection. But when you do that, not only is it going to help you personally, but it is going to help your business if you focus on creating genuine connection.
Absolutely. Let me show you this one thing before we go, because I
Yeah.
just looked down. Okay. I have these somebody gave me this a long time ago. It's a little business card of little verses, and she replaced my name. Look at the verse for today. And we were just talking about loving well.
Okay. You got to read that, because
Know and rely on the love that God has for you, April. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in him. 1 John 4:16. And that's what I'm talking about when I tell people to love well. When you're loving well, loving has nothing to do with what can this person do for me, because that attaches the harvest to the seed.
Right.
We don't always get to see. I have a lot of people come to me and say, someone told me about send out cards a year or two ago and they didn't keep in touch, and I'm ready now. And I found you on YouTube. I found you on Instagram. I found you wherever. So they find the person that's still, so there's your consistency again with your clients.
Yeah.
You got to still be doing the thing that you said you were going to do when the person is ready.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to somebody about this the other day on a separate podcast episode, where you've got to stay in front. Anywhere, depends on the statistic, 1 to 10% of your audience is ready to buy at any given point in time.
Yeah.
If you are not nurturing, staying in front of them, creating that genuine connection, when they do get into that 1 to 10% block, if you haven't taken the time to continue to build that relationship, they are not going to think of you.
Nope.
And if you are not number 1 or 2, you are not going to get the business.
Yep. Gary Keller talks about that in his book, The One Thing.
Yep.
That you got to be right there. And people feel like they're being repetitive when they're saying the same thing over and over and over again on social media. But you're right. Okay. Only about 10% of the people even hear you.
That's right.
So saying the same thing, when you're tired of it, they're just now hearing it.
Yes. Well, and when it's not an issue for them, they're not looking for it, right? The reticular activating system is not looking for it. But the minute they start to think about it, and it's in their reticular activating system, then they see that message again. They're like, oh yeah, that's right.
It's funny you just said that, because we just bought a Honda Pilot.
Yeah, so now you see them everywhere, right?
And they're everywhere. And I'm like, everybody has my car.
Yeah.
They were already all out there.
Nobody had this before I bought it. What the hell is going on? I bought it and now everybody has one. Like, yeah, we all go through that. The exact same thing happens. So you see them. Yep. Your RAS, right? You got to pay attention to it.
That's crazy how that works.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. A lot of people will say, I have manifested all of these Honda Pilots showing up. And I'm like, no, they were all already there. You just are just now seeing them.
That's right. You're just now seeing them because you're looking for it. You're paying attention to it.
Yeah. I love it.
So I love it. Awesome. So we just kept going. You and I, we just keep talking. Yes. So thank you. So we got one more little tidbit in there before we wrapped it up today. But April, thank you so much. Those of you watching, listening, thank you again. You can always connect with us over at rialtomarketing.com. If you want to know which of the 9 revenue roadblocks are slowing down your growth, you can do that over at Revenue Roadblock Scorecard. It takes less than 5 minutes, and you'll be able to discover and assess which roadblocks are slowing down your growth. Thank you again, April. Thank you. And till next time, take care.